Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for a brand new episode on this absolutely shocking day. It's absolutely terrible weather here in Sheffield today, and thankfully I'm on night shift so it doesn't affect me, so I'm not wasting any time missing the allotment. But like I was talking yesterday, obviously when it's weather like this, it's great weather to be spending in your shed, in your polytunnel, in your greenhouse, still getting work done. There's still plenty that you can do in bad weather like this. It's also windy as well, so make sure that anything light, like these light greenhouses what are made of plastic, make sure they're fastened down well and secured, because you do not want to lose them. I've seen so many photos over these past few weeks from the storms, from all the people that have lost glass out of the greenhouses that have been totally flattened, and it's devastating to see. And just that little bit of extra effort, making sure that it's absolutely secure, will make it last longer. And first off, before we go into this podcast, I just need to ask you all a massive favour. If you've not checked out my second podcast, Gardening and Allotment Tips, the link is in the description on this podcast. Go and check it out. There's over 30 episodes on there for you to listen to. Hopefully as many people subscribe to that one as they do to this one, because I would like to get that podcast up and running as well. And there's new podcasts on there every day as well, like there is on this one, so you're getting twice the amount of podcasts and twice the amount of information from Gardening with Ben. So go and check that podcast out and go and get listening to them podcasts as well and subscribe to them. And if you've not subscribed to this one, make sure you do that as well, because we're nearly at 300 subscribers on Spotify, so keep on subscribing and enjoying these episodes. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about growing peppers. Yes, peppers, that is. And peppers are something that take quite a lot of effort to grow, and you need to be starting to think about growing them now if you wanted to be growing peppers. But the only issue is with growing peppers is that they require heat to get the seeds to germinate, because without the heat the seeds won't germinate. So you won't get that heat on the allotment or in the greenhouse at the moment because it's too cold. So you need to be either using a propagator or putting them on a windowsill and getting them growing. But the only thing you've got to watch out for is do not let them get too leggy, or they'll just not be worth it. You possibly can start them off in March, but the earlier you can start them off the better, in my opinion. And it goes for all peppers, chili peppers or sweet peppers, it's all the same when growing them. And obviously if you start them off now, you've got a better chance of getting more fruit from the plants themselves as well, because they will be flowering earlier and you will get a longer season with them. That's the same going for tomatoes and cucumbers. The earlier you start them off, the longer the season you have of growing them and getting more produce from them, because they will keep fruiting up until end of September, beginning of October, depending on what the temperature's like and the weather. But obviously if you're starting them off a month earlier, you'll probably get a chance of having a month extra of crops. So a thing is, when you're growing peppers, you can either go to the supermarket and buy the seeds, or if there is a particular variety that you like and you enjoy from the supermarket, you can grow them from the seed of the fruit that you buy from the supermarket. For instance, if there is a delicious yellow pepper that you enjoy buying from the supermarket on a regular basis for your salads, etc., when you're scraping out all them seeds, save them and dry them out. You can get some kitchen roll and you scrape all the seeds out into a mold, damp them all off and clean all the muck off them, and let them dry out on a tissue, and all the gunk and everything will dry out into the tissue, and you will be left with the seeds. And then you can scrape them off and put them into an envelope and save them for when you want to sow them, or when they're ready to sow, you can sow them straight away. So a lot of people do this because if you're buying a packet of pepper seeds, it could cost you £2 and you'll only get about 25 seeds at least. Whereas if you're buying a pepper from the supermarket, you could buy 3 for £1 and you will get absolutely thousands of seeds in it. So you're saving money by doing it this method, and there's no reason why you can't do it. There's no specifics on why you can't do this, but there's a lot of people that do that because it's cheaper than buying the seeds. So I'm going to be doing that for quite a few of my vegetables this year. I'm possibly going to be doing it for my melons and maybe even the tomatoes. And I've seen people even just cut the tomato in half and shove it in some soil and it grows. It's unbelievable. It actually grows. So yeah, if you find a favourite item in the supermarket, that is what you should do, is just save the seeds from them and grow them yourself. And it's fun, it's exciting. You can obviously say, oh, I grew that from that pepper that I bought at Tesco's or Asda, something like that. So yeah, if there's a certain variety that you like and enjoy, you can grow the seeds from it. And if you've got children, they will absolutely love doing this because they'll love scraping out all the pepper seeds, leaving them to dry, and then you can get involved with your child in planting these and getting them done. So yeah, and obviously if you're wanting to grow peppers, you need to look at growing them somewhere warm, and ideally a polytunnel or a greenhouse. And if you've got a conservatory, you could grow them in a conservatory and get produce from them. But the thing is with peppers is that you've got to make sure that they've got the pollinators around them to get the produce on them. If you grow them in a conservatory, you won't get no pollinators in there because you won't want bees or wasps flying around inside your conservatory throughout the summer, will you? So you need to help pollinate them yourself by I often use a paintbrush and go around and pollinate all the flowers myself, and then you've got a better chance of getting more fruit from your pepper plants. That's my little tip for you. And obviously if you've got them in a polytunnel or in a greenhouse, you'll be leaving the door open in the daytime to let the air through, and it will help the pollinators get in there and get them producing the fruit that they need. But even still, when I've got my polytunnel or my greenhouse, I'll still go around pollinating those flowers on the plants because I want to get the best crop that I can. And that goes the same for tomatoes as well. You can go around pollinating all the flowers on it and helping to pollinate and get a better crop from them. Sometimes obviously the bees won't go around pollinating all the flowers on the plant, so you need to, if you can and you've got the spare time, why not do it yourself and do the job that's needed to get the produce from them. And that is why I always encourage to get bees coming down onto your allotment into the garden, because if the bees don't come down into your garden, they won't find the flowers on the peppers to pollinate. So the more we can encourage bees in the garden, the better produce you will get from your plants. I cannot stress that enough. The more we can do for the bees will help us out more. So if you've got an allotment and you're not growing flowers on it, have a look at growing some flowers that are for bees especially, and you will get more produce from your plants. And I had so much fantastic produce from my fruit trees last year. It is unbelievable. So that is all the tips on growing peppers today. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I do like talking about different topics, and hopefully I'll talk about some different vegetables and fruit over the coming months, as I'm trying to get these out every single day, and thinking of 365 different topics to talk about can be hard sometimes, but I know that people do love enjoying listening to these, because I get messages on a regular basis from the listeners. And if you've not sent me a message to say that you listen to them, send me a message, because I do love to hear who actually listens to these. They're getting over 300 downloads a day at the moment, so there's 300 of you out there listening, so thank you very much for that. So until tomorrow's episode, remember to do click that subscribe button, and do keep sharing it on your Instagram stories so that other people find the channel. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.